island, you get there and they believe in God and they believe they're not allowed to kill you. Even just their idea of God saved your life.
Onto the island, just I believe in God will save your life. No, because if you believe in the wrong God, you'd be in big trouble and you'd be killed instantly. Even to this day. Okay, what's up guys? Welcome back to my humble abode here in Mexico. I'm back to the channel. Another reaction talking video here on Andrew Tate. Alright, I've done a couple of videos on Andrew Tate, the top G of late. So there were a number of things in the Tucker Carlson interview that really piqued my interest. I did a bit on how he blatantly lied about why he moved to Romania, and then another part was the religious angle that Tucker brought up. When and why did he turn to God, and how is it that he chose Islam? And that's something I've been following quite closely with Tate since he converted to Islam. Is like the way he talks about it is so rational, and it was like a very clear decision, almost as if he was like shopping for clothes or for a car, like making a rational choice. I believe Islam is the best because it's the only one that doesn't take shit anymore, that will stand up for itself. Look at Christianity, you can say anything about the Prophet Jesus, you can say anything about Jews, but Muslims will stand up for themselves. And it's like, that's actually the worst thing about Islam, that they're still so sensitive. The fact that the other religions are comfortable in their own skin and have grown out of being so sensitive that you can't criticize them. Any little bit of criticism will result in your stoning or your eternal punishment. That's primitive behavior. So the fact that he thinks that's good, that Muslims are still so sensitive over, you know, any mild criticism of the Prophet of Muhammad, you think that's good, I would argue it's a very, very bad thing. There's a great quote: if you want to know who has control over you, just look at who you can't criticize. Okay, if these religions were comfortable in their own skin, why wouldn't you be allowed to question them? Why wouldn't you be allowed to have a fair conversation about it? But no, with Islam, any mention of their prophet is an eternal sin, mortal sin, and Tate seems to think that's a good thing. I would argue very much against it. Another reason I would say he chose Islam is because it's the fastest growing religion in the world, and he wants to pander to and ingratiate himself with all those young men coming out of the Islamic world from the Arabian countries, and that he can really connect with them and garner them as his new fans of the next generation. So I would say that's another reason why he chose Islam. But in general, when he talks about God, right, why he believes God has chosen him as a top G, and God, this is all part of God's plan. You know, he's one of these God's plan people. God is testing me with this jail sentence, all right? And so just listen to, he has a theorem. He's come up with a theorem, all right? You call it Tate's theorem. I'm almost thinking it's like an irrefutable fact, the way he presents it with this smug look on his face. He calls it the island theorem. I've seen it, I saw him say it on the Valuetainment podcast as well. He said, he posits it like this: let's say you're stranded on a desert island, yeah? Well, let's just play it, right? Play the thing first.
Besides, I need to go back to a Romanian dungeon for however many days. Then all I can do is accept it and accept his plan and accept that it's going to make me a better person and
so you see the hand of God in your life?
Absolutely. I think that he is the best of planners. And like I said, if you retrospectively analyze all the times in life you wish you could have changed things,
yes,
he knew better. And I'm going to have to accept that.
When did you conclude that?
I guess I always kind of knew. I was atheistic for a while when I was younger. But as you get older, you start to look at the world and understand that the thing for me was actually, I guess, a scientific principle. It was Newton's law of equal and opposite force. If there is evil in the world, and I'd like to think we both agree there certainly is,
yes,
there has to be an equal and opposite force, which is good. And I would like to think that that is God. Even the idea of God as a notion, even just as a concept, if that idea of God resists evil, then God is real. If you have two islands, you have two people, let's say a ship crashes, and you have two people who swim to two different islands, and one island they're atheists, savages, and they rip you apart, and the other island you get there and they believe in God and they believe they're not allowed to kill you. Even just their idea of God saved your life. So I think even just the concept of God in and of itself, if enough people believe and it makes them do good, then God must be true. And that's the equal and opposite force to the evil of the world. And this is how I view it. So I don't see how anybody with a conscience cannot believe in God anymore.
The other one believes in God. You go into the one with God and you'll stay alive. God saved your life. Whoa. There's major problems with this theorem, right? Off the bat, I would argue you've actually a much better chance of staying alive on the atheist island. The idea that they're savages just because they don't believe in God, that's falling into the fallacy that religions invented morality. No, religions usurped morality. The 10 Commandments, the list of 10 things you shouldn't do, which didn't mention rape for some reason, but it did mention thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife or thy neighbor's slave. And even just the way he says, oh, just that they believe in God, they believe they're not allowed to kill you on that island. God saved your life. Nah. Spanish Inquisition, anybody? The Crusades, anyone? The Cathars, anyone? A peaceful Christian sect living in the south of France in the 13th century until a papally mandated genocide was sent against them, and Christian crusaders were sent down to murder every last man, woman and child of the Cathars. Internecine sectarian murder and violence has been the name of the game from day dot with all these religions, alright? So don't be giving me this, no religious man would ever kill anybody. Some religious people have been some of the most barbarous, sadistic people ever in history. I'll bring you up one example of an inquisitor from the Spanish Inquisition, Diego Rodriguez de Lucero, alright, who carried out massacres on Jews, on synagogues, burning down synagogues all through Spain. Listen to this. So it's in Cordoba in 1504. When he burned 107 men, they were shouting to God and the Virgin to forgive them, and saying they had never committed the sin of heresy, and called on the scribes to testify that they died as Christian Catholics and in the faith of Jesus Christ. So as they were burning to death for their sin of heresy, right? So heresy was seen as worse than killing. Killing was justified all through those Middle Ages in the name of God, because heresy is the worst thing if you don't believe, all right? So just the notion that no religious person would ever kill somebody just because it was written down on some scribe by Moses 2,000 years ago, supposedly, and that everybody's followed that ever since. I mean, come on. The selective memory, right, and the complete erasure from our memories of quite recent history of really barbarous acts done in the name of religion. So let me just get back to the point of Tate saying God saved your life, you'll stay alive on the God-believing island. But which God? Which God are we talking about here? Are we talking about Allah, or the Christian God, or Yahweh, the Jewish God, or any one of the thousands of Hindu gods? Are we talking about Thor, some of the Nordic gods, Odin? Could we be talking about the Latin gods, the Greek gods, Zeus? So don't give me this believing God, right? Yeah, we're coming closer. We've gone from being polytheistic, and we're getting closer and closer to the truth by getting just down to the one God now. But all through history, it's been multifaceted gods. So you can't say that by going onto the island, just I believe in God will save your life. No, because if you believe in the wrong God, you'd be in big trouble and you'd be killed instantly. Even to this day, just being a Christian, are you the right type of Christian? If you're a Protestant coming onto a Catholic island, there's a problem. What if you're a Muslim, you're a Shiite Muslim, and they're Sunni Muslims? There's big problems there too. What if you're an Orthodox Jew coming onto a non-Orthodox Jew island, or an Ashkenazi Jew coming onto a black Jew island, right? There's all sorts of internecine conflicts and violence even within the type of God you believe in, right? So not only could you might believe in the wrong type of God, but if you believe even the right God, but you're not exactly on point in the right sect of that religion, you could very, very easily be killed on that island instantly. Up until very recently, in very recent history, and that killing could have taken place very gruesomely. Could have been stoning, broken on the wheel, burned at the stake, or thrown off a cliff, thrown back into the ocean, right? So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That you'd have I believe you have a much better chance of staying alive on the atheistic savage island. I'm atheist. I'm not killing anyone. I'm not hurting anybody. I have complete morality. I don't need religion to have morality, because morality evolved naturally when rivaling tribes who were killing each other for centuries, when they realized that they could actually benefit mutually from barter and trade. And that was when morality started to gradually evolve, when you realize, like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and we can be in this together. In terms of numbers, if you're not outnumbered, and if there's strengths on the other side and strengths on your side, that you can offer some sort of collaboration. That's how morality came about. It wasn't just a list from a deity up above, and before that we were all savages and murdering each other. No. Take on Tate's island theorem. Let me know what you think. On which island do you think you have a better chance of staying alive? The atheistic savage island, or the God-believing island? Because, again, just like with all religious questions, it provokes more questions than answers. Which God are we talking about that you believe in? Which sect? Is it a Christian sect or a Muslim sect? Because within those sects, there's internecine conflict, which could very easily result in the death of the hapless new arrival onto the island. Could just also be a human sacrifice, which has been common in all religions throughout history. Maybe they would just sacrifice the new arrival to their God as an offering. Maybe they would do it like peacefully, but there's way more ways in which the God-believing group would kill the new arrival than the atheists. Alright, atheists don't want to hurt anybody.